We are crawling onto the trade deadline. Just crawling. No moves have been made. 2 weeks is left. Nothing notable has happened. Fuck. I'd like to see some motion, as Drake would say. I guess that's just emotion. Oh, that was what I was listening to on the way. But the team for me that's the hardest to dissect, the hardest to predict, the hardest to figure out who they are, what their identity is now, what their identity will be, is the Toronto Raptors. They are long, they are switchable, they are young, they can compete with almost anybody on any given night. They could also lose to almost anybody on any given night. Team full of stretch threes and stretch fours. Everyone on this roster basically is 6'7". We haven't talked much about the Raptors lately because they've been bad. But they have resurrected their season after they had COVID on COVID. Team is 9-6 in their last 15. They are in the 9th spot currently in the East, but just 4 games out of 6 seed. Just 4 games out of not being a play-in tournament. You never know. You never know. When the Atlanta Hawks were a 5 seed and they end up in the Eastern Conference Final, you never know. That's the optimistic side of me. All of that leads me to a fun little hypothetical. So, okay, you're a 500 team, right? You're playing better now than at any point in the season. You're in a year where there is no real clear-cut favorite. Like, the Bucks are there. And the Nets, of course, got something to say. But, come on. So, the Bucks are healthy, but they just got blown out by the Cavs, right? The Nets are healthy, but they just lost to the Lakers. Nah, Lakers aren't really healthy. But you're coming up on the trade deadline. So you got 2 options. You make every effort that you can to improve the team now, even if it means that you move away from the quote-unquote plan that you might have for the future. Or do you just continue to say we're young, we're dumb, and we're having fun, knowing that you're an injury away from falling back into the lottery, just like you did last year, because you play your starters more than any other team in the entire league. That's a fact. Welcome to the mental pretzel for my man Nick Nurse and my man Masai Ujiri. So, not a big deal, kind of a big deal. I was texting back and forth with Nick Nurse the other day, and I asked him about his thoughts on the team. And he says this is exactly what he says. This is tremendous. Just think about this quote, let it soak in. We're pretty good. We have no depth, but I like my 5 to 6 guys. Does he know the starting 5 is 5 players? I like my starting 5 plus 1. I like my starting 5 plus 1. So I dug into that. How much does Nick Nurse love his 5 to 6 guys? I'll tell you. It is love. It is, oh my God, holy shit love. Fred VanVleet, my guy, leads the NBA in minutes played per game, 38.2. Scotty Barnes, a rookie, is playing 35.5 minutes per game, the most of any rookie in the NBA. No surprise, Rookie of the Year. Gary Trent Jr. plays 33.8 minutes per game. Pascal Siakam playing 36.9 minutes per game. OG Anunoby plays 36.9 minutes per game. That is ridiculous, folks. That is fucking ridiculous. That reads like a box score from 1936 when it was the Cleveland Rosenblums, a real NBA team, by the way, who had 7 roster players. And if someone fouled out or got injured, they literally had to pull someone from the stands to be like, hey, you look athletic. Come play basketball. That's what's happening. It would happen in Toronto if they actually had fans. They probably just need to grab the actual, Toronto mascot because he's the only available bench guy that they have. They legit play their starters more than anyone. All of those guys top 20 in the league in terms of minutes played. Which makes comments like these from Nick Nurse that he didn't say to me, but he said to the media, hilarious, laughable, untrue. He's talking about the battle between Sam Dekker and Isak Bonga, two guys that were at the end of the roster, and they were trying to make a decision who's going to play, who's going to get cut, and who's going to play. And this is what Nick Nurse had to say. Isak kind of fills the role that we want. He's got size. He's a versatile defender. He's on the offensive glass. He's kind of a real role-playing guy we can throw in there at any time. He's good enough to get into games anytime right now, to be honest with you, but we can't play everybody. Excuse me. You don't play anybody. Excuse me. You're just playing 5 to 6 dudes. 5? Really? 6? Okay, so your 5 starters are all top 20 in minutes played, and you can't find Isak Bonga any playing time? Excuse me. That's hilarious. And now, Nick Nurse's mind has turned to the trade deadline and how he can make this team more competitive, because he even said it. It's now undisputable. They have 0 depth. Not only do you know that based on who he's playing, you know that because he said it his goddamn self. This is what he said. There's some stark downs, man. It's been a battle to pick everybody up or pick yourself up. But he is optimistic that the Raptors right now can contend. I told him that's a sort of beautiful optimism that you just can't get. The delusions of optimism when you're not winning. Any team, not just them, because they're actually like decent, but a team like the Lakers, to believe you can win at any moment, any game, despite being so very clearly outmatched, out-depthed, out-athleticismed. I mean, it's just, I would die for that level of optimism about any fucking thing. Anything. Even about getting my toast, like, perfectly toasted. I don't have optimism that I could complete anything in that manner. So Michael Grange reports that Nurse has had multiple conversations with GM Bobby Webster about trying to evaluate what the Raptors need coming up to the trade deadline. But it's been hard to evaluate given the way that the season has gone. He says that there's about a 6 to 7 man core that they want to focus on going forward. Yeah, those are the 6 to 7 guys that are getting all the minutes. Actually, it's really 5 to 6, but you can't say you only like your starting 5. You can't go out to the world and say that. You say I like 7 because anything less than 7 sounds like you're a psycho. That's a psycho move. So what do you do right now if you're the Raptors? You got a good core. All of them are the same guy. Like all 6'7", athletic, can switch, can handle the rock. Well, it's been a while since they've seen some winning hoops, right? In Toronto. They literally played in Tampa the entire all last year. They didn't even see Canada when they were in the basketball season last year. So you'd think that the tendency might be push your chips in the middle of the table and go, quote-unquote, all in. To me, that is terrible. That's a terrible idea. Even still, they did decide to sort of tank to get Scotty Barnes last year, right? And it's a fact that they have no depth. Like, it's a fact. So, Nick Nurse also told me that there is no point in his career he's ever believed he's had a lost season. He doesn't believe it exists. He believes as a head coach, there's no moment in time that exists where you say, pack it up, we're just going to build on this one. We're just going to have this be an emotional victory. All these things are creative ways to get new guys involved and develop young talent. No. You play to win no matter what, he said. You play to win no matter what. He's going to run the legs out of these starters to chase wins, which means from a betting perspective, they're never out of it. Whatever the line is, just take it. Like, I know you can get burned at a plus 4.5 to take the Raptors against some good team, and then all of a sudden you don't make it. But, like, this is the team he's going to put Fred VanVleet out there when they're down 30. Like, think about that. If you lead the NBA in minutes played, that's including games you're getting blown out. He's like, fuck it, Fred. It's just you, my guy. Go ahead and pad your stats. That's fucking crazy. Back to the problem. Everyone wants the Raptors to make a big trade. You want it. I want it. Toronto fans want it. Masai wants it. But I don't think it's going to happen. I'm not sure because there's 2 words. Goran Dragic. Goran Dragic is making $19.1 million a year. He's my age, which means he's over the hill in basketball terms. And everybody's talking about John Wall. Why isn't John Wall playing any basketball? John Wall's making a lot of money. The Rockets aren't using him. Nobody's asking that about Goran Dragic. Nobody's like, why is Goran Dragic nowhere around this team? Why is Goran Dragic out indefinitely for personal reasons? Why haven't they come to some resolution about him? Just like Wall, Goran Dragic sitting on his hands, not playing. No one's asking a goddamn thing. The Raptors don't need an old wash guy, but they also traded for that wash guy in order to basically game and loophole the cap system in order to trade Goran Dragic and then receive a $20 million trade exception that would allow them to basically get a guy that they can't get otherwise with that Kyle Lowry trade. So, in order to trade Goran, we're probably going to have to attach draft picks to get him off the books. Which means you trying to build for the future, you're literally giving up assets that you need. Draft capital is very important for a young developing team. But then you also want to sign free agents. And so the whole Goran Dragic trade capital thing is sort of inextricably linked. It's a hard word to say. Fucked up 2 days in a row on that. But if they let Goran Dragic's contract expire, they lose $20 million in that trade exception in that Lowry sign-in trade. And then that Lowry sign-in trade doesn't make no damn sense. They should have traded him earlier if they can't get something out of him. It's a very complex scenario. Very complex. Been wrapping my mind around it all day. And we know that Masai wants to build around a young core. And part of that strategy is stockpiling those picks. But at 500 right now, the Raptors probably have a valuable mid-first rounder. Probably 15, 16 in this first round. Basically just below the lottery. And the Sixers offered multiple draft picks for Kyle Lowry last year. So if you turned down multiple suitors in the middle of the trade deadline last year, you turn that down, and then you do a sign-and trade for Precious Achiuwa and a first-round pick and Goran Dragic, and then you got to give up a first-round pick to get rid of fucking Goran Dragic, then what do you have? You have Precious Achiuwa, who's a nice piece, but goddamn, you could have had Tyrese Maxey in 2 firsts. I understand the concept of fuck Philly, but not at your own expense. You know what I mean? Like, don't do that trade because you're cutting off your nose to spite your face. No. So for me, it's going to be a very interesting thing watching them going forward because it'll tell you everything you need to know. If they don't make a move and they let Goran Dragic's contract just wither away, that means they have no interest in doing anything right now. They have no interest in going out and getting free agents because they got guys to sign soon. And that's happening. They will be signed. And the only guys you're going to be able to get is in the draft, not in free agency, which means young youth movement, which probably means more 5 to 6 man rotations. Well, since Toronto can only get better via trade, kind of like the Blazers, it might just mean go and get Norm Powell again, I guess. Maybe trade Chris Boucher, I guess. It's a situation that is developing. Keep your eye on it. But if I had to put my gavel down, I'd say Toronto will be a play-in team, and that's all. And at that point, why not just do the lottery again? Seemed to work out last time around. But keep your eye on it. Keep your eye on it.